The KJ-3000 is China's most recent and ambitious attempt to develop an indigenous airborne early warning and control AEW&C aircraft. It is built on the Y-20B heavy transport airframe and powered by 4 WS-20 high-bypass turbofan engines. As of 2025, the aircraft is undergoing continued testing and evaluation, with no official entry into active service. The airframe design allows for significantly more payload than previous AEW&C platforms used by the PLA, such as the KJ-2000 based on the IL-76 and the KJ-500 based on the Y-9. However, the KJ-3000 remains in the prototype and test phase, with no verifiable evidence of sustained operational readiness or deployment. While Chinese sources claim the KJ-3000 uses a combination of active electronically scanned array (AESA) radars, possibly including a rotating dorsal array and fixed conformal side arrays, the actual radar performance has not been independently verified. The stated detection ranges, including long-range tracking of stealth aircraft and simultaneous engagement of hundreds of targets, are not supported by combat data or third-party evaluation. These claims may reflect theoretical capabilities or lab-based models, not performance under real-world conditions with signal clutter, electronic countermeasures, or adverse weather. Furthermore, integrating multiple radar panels into a unified sensor fusion environment requires highly complex software and robust onboard computing, both areas in which Chinese defense systems have historically underperformed. The aircraft relies on the WS-20 engine, which itself is new and has no proven long-term service record. The Chinese aerospace industry has long struggled with reliable turbofan engine production. Earlier efforts, such as the WS-10 and WS-15 programs, faced problems with overheating, turbine blade failures, and short operational lifespans. Without extensive deployment and endurance testing, there is no assurance that the WS-20 will perform reliably under combat conditions, especially when powering both propulsion and the power-hungry onboard electronics of an AEW&C platform. Although the KJ-3000 is promoted as a leap forward in airborne command and control, China's actual ability to integrate such systems into broader battlefield networks remains uncertain. The PLA's C4ISR command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance architecture is heavily centralized. Real-time data sharing and decision-making, as practiced in US and NATO doctrines, are significantly constrained by China's rigid chain of command. As a result, even if the aircraft is able to detect and track enemy aircraft or coordinate battlefield assets, the process of acting on that information may be too slow for fast-paced, modern combat, especially against peer adversaries. The size and visibility of the KJ-3000 also pose a significant tactical disadvantage. AEW&C aircraft are inherently high-value, high-signature targets. In a contested environment, especially one with advanced anti-radiation missiles, long-range air-to-air weapons, or electronic warfare capabilities, such a large and electronically active platform would need to operate far from the front line or be subject to constant protection. There is no public evidence that China has developed or deployed adequate defensive escorts or electronic countermeasures that would allow the KJ-3000 to operate safely in proximity to hostile forces. If the aircraft must remain deep within Chinese airspace to avoid being shot down, its effectiveness as a battle management node diminishes considerably. From a logistics and sustainment perspective, China has limited experience operating high-complexity aircraft at high readiness rates. The maintenance burden of a large, custom electronics-filled aircraft like the KJ-3000 is substantial. The Y-20 airframe is still relatively new and not widely deployed. China's military logistics system remains in development and may struggle to support sustained operations involving multiple high-demand aircraft. This may result in low sortie rates, reduced mission availability, and difficulty in rotating aircraft for maintenance and upgrades. The KJ-3000 is frequently portrayed in Chinese media as a symbol of technological progress and military modernization. However, such portrayals serve a strategic messaging role as much as a military one. Chinese defense development often uses large programs like the KJ-3000 as political tools, to signal domestic strength, to project external deterrence, and to advance narratives of parity with the United States. This creates a gap between declared capability and practical effectiveness. The actual military utility of the KJ-3000 will depend not only on hardware performance but also on operational doctrine, training, communications infrastructure, and joint force coordination, none of which have been demonstrated to a sufficient degree to validate China's most optimistic claims. The aircraft is primarily intended to support operations over the Taiwan Strait, the East and South China Seas, and the Western Pacific. It is not a global projection platform like the U.S. E-3 or E-7 systems, which are embedded into expeditionary force structures with hardened data links, satellite coverage, and robust coalition interoperability. In contrast, the KJ-3000 is largely regionally focused and vulnerable if operating beyond the umbrella of Chinese shore-based systems. The operational ceiling of the KJ-3000, both literally and strategically, remains geographically limited. By mid-2025, no export version of the KJ-3000 has been announced, and no foreign operators have shown credible interest, despite China marketing its earlier AEW&C systems abroad. This may reflect limitations in the system's performance, cost, software reliability, or political confidence in Chinese military systems. In total, the KJ-3000 is a symbol of China's evolving defense ambitions. It represents a significant step in aerospace design, radar integration, and indigenous aircraft development. However, its value remains largely hypothetical. The platform lacks independent verification, battle-proven performance, and demonstrable integration into real-time joint operations. Its vulnerabilities, technical, logistical, doctrinal, and strategic, leave open significant questions about whether it is truly a force multiplier or primarily a propaganda achievement. Until China demonstrates that the KJ-3000 can operate reliably in contested, complex, and dynamic environments over sustained periods, its real capabilities remain an open question.